Welcome, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of the weekly fitness segment on Swagger Magazine. True to form, I almost said welcome to Talk About It Tuesday. It is indeed a habit of mine now to announce welcome to Talk About It Tuesday. But anytime I get to hang out with you all and share my profession, share my passion, I count it a joy to be able to hang out with you all for a few minutes on Sunday. For those of you that don't know, my name is Beverly Johnson, owner of Genesis Fitness located here in Huntsville, Alabama. I have been doing this, it's hard to believe now, for over a decade. And when I think about all the people that I've met along the way, that I've talked to along the way, it is indeed a blessing to be able to walk in my calling and to walk in what I truly adore. Thank you to the folks of Swagger Magazine for allowing me to have this platform. It is not anything that I take for granted to have this opportunity to share with you the fitness and health industry with you every week. Now, without further ado, we're going to jump in today into today's topic. And it's one that's probably been on your mind swirling all week. You're like, oh, I need this on my mind. I'm thinking about it. And that topic is sugar. Hey, girl. Hey, Donna. I know you were thinking, oh, my gosh, I really need to understand this topic of sugar. It's just been swirling in my dome all week. And with the topic of sugar, we have to understand the implications of what it does to the body. Because did you know, in consuming sugar, let me get my graphic, that every day we consume an extra 300 calories a day of sugar. And what that looks like in your body, if you break it down, that's the equivalent of 17 spoonfuls of sugar every day. So when you say 300 calories doesn't seem like a lot, 300 calories doesn't look like a lot, you have to ask yourself, would you in one sitting consume 17 spoonfuls of sugar? And the answer is no. But when we think about sugar, we think about how sneaky it is and how we aren't careful. Those 17 spoonfuls of sugar will show up in our daily habit. And when you're talking about 17 spoonfuls of sugar, that looks like a candy bar. That looks like that extra slice of pie that you may have in the evenings after dinner. That may look like that supersized thing from certain fast food places of sweet tea that I think is on the dollar menu. So when you're saying 300 calories, it can show up in many different places. You just have to be aware of what's going to be your decision-making process in eating the sugar that you're consuming. Because when we talk about sugar, it is difficult to avoid it in your day-to-day life. Sugar is added in everything that we consume. So when you start thinking about how you're going to avoid sugar, it is almost, I won't say it's impossible, but we have to become more aware of what we're choosing to consume every day. So when we talk about sugars, there's natural sugars, which are in our fruits, which are in our vegetables, things that, come from nature, that they're automatically sweet. They don't need our help in adding anything else. And then there are the processed sugars. Those are the things that we add to other stuff. Those are the things that we add a little oomph to help it. If you're having something that's already sweet and then you want to add extra sugar to give it a little more, that is when it becomes problematic. Because the American Heart Association recommends limiting our daily sugar to no more than 100 calories a day. 100 calories of sugar a day. And for men, they recommend 150 calories per day. And so when you're talking about what that looks like, saying I'm going to limit it to 150 calories a day, that looks like 6 spoons full of sugar. And in all honesty, I can't imagine anyone that's going to sit at home with your little spoons and go, okay, wait, when I had my breakfast, that was 1 spoon. When I had my lunch, I think that had 2 spoons. And when I had my dinner, that was 3 spoons. It is virtually impossible for you to sit down and have an accurate calculation of what all your sugar is going to look like. So when you're in that space, what I do recommend that you do is download a fitness tracker, a food tracker, like MyFitnessPal. That is one that I've used. And when they have the foods already uploaded, you can get an idea of what your sugar consumption is, what your sodium consumption is. Because one thing, MyFitnessPal, and it's not an endorsement, it's just one that I've used, that when you use MyFitnessPal, it will tell you when you've hit the limit in your sugar consumption. It will tell you when you've hit your sodium consumption, that when you load the foods up and at the end of the day, it will tell you you are at the threshold for your sodium. You are at the threshold for your sugar. So it is in those moments where it is a great idea to incorporate food tracking tools so you can get a better assessment of what you're eating. Because like I said, who's going to sit and count spoonfuls all day? I'm not. But with my fitness tracker, I can have a better idea of what I'm eating. So the byproduct of when we start consuming so many different sugars, so much sugar, is that it leads to increased hunger and weight gain. Because, not me either, Donna, because when we start eating nothing but sweets, you never feel full. Because I always think about what my mom and what my grandma would say. Because again, I'm from the country. I'm from this little place called Mobile, Alabama. And my grandma and my mom would say, you need to eat some food that's going to stick to your ribs. You need to eat something that's going to stick on you, that's going to last. And what my mom and what my grandmother was saying was that you need to have a diet that has satisfying foods in it. You need to have a meal that's going to give you the nutrition that you need and fulfill you to get through the day. Because when you start eating a lot of sugar, the first thing you're going to notice is that you're going to be hungry real soon. So yes, that Pop-Tart may have been good, but you will probably be hungry soon after that. So when you're talking about trying to lose weight, be careful, because when we start consuming too much sugar, that leads to increased weight gain. The second thing that it leads to is irritability. You just moody for no reason because you have all this sugar in your system. Because what happens when you start consuming too much sugar, you start feeling that blood sugar ride. So you're up, then you're down. You're up, then you're down. And so you're constantly trying to fulfill your sugar levels and get back on par because you're becoming addicted to sugar. I remember I had in my life 1 Mountain Dew. 1. And I can tell you where I was. I was in Germany, 1998. And that 1 Mountain Dew had my sugar level so high where I thought I was sitting at my desk feeling like this from all the sugar. And about an hour later, I crashed. And I asked the guys around me, what do you do when you feel like this? They said, drink another one. And I said, I bind you in the name of Satan and baby Jesus, because in the name of baby Jesus, I can't do this. Because get back, Satan. Because that sugar rush made me so irritable. It made me so cranky because I couldn't handle it. So when you're looking at having a meal that has a lot of sugar, it rushes through the body, your energy level goes up, then your energy level crashes. So the only way to counter that is to have more sugar. Now, I have maintained my Mountain Dew trend since 1998, and I have no intentions of breaking that. I think another beverages that have a lot of sugar. I think Sundrop, um, and some other ones. If you're in another region, tell me one that has a lot of sugar. And depending on certain households that you're in, Kool-Aid may have a lot of sugar, but we're not ready for that conversation. So I'm going to go on to the next one. House party, Kool-Aid, when they poured all the sugar in it. Okay, I'm going to slide on. The other downside of having a lot of sugar is fatigue and low energy. Why? Because what goes up normally comes back down. Sugar is easily absorbed and digested. So if you're always feeling fatigued, it is probably due to the amount of sugar that you're consuming. Because we all know that sugar is a very quick energy source. So in 30 minutes, you're going to be hungry again and low on energy. That's just the way it's always going to be. So far with our sugar, we've had increased weight gain. We are now irritable. Nobody knows how to say, talk to you at work these days, because 1 minute you're kikiing and happy, next minute you're mad at the world. And now number 3, you're fatigued and low energy. So right now, nobody knows what to say to you because you're all over the place, because it's the impacts of sugar on our body. Something else that I noticed that I never really thought about, so I did my research. Foods don't taste sweet enough because you're always used to having sweets. Because I always liken it to the folks that, when you're having dinner and before they taste the food, they're automatically putting extra salt on the food because it's not salty enough. When you consume so much sugar, foods that were normally sweet in the beginning are no longer sweet. So now you're having to add more sugar to get the sweetness that you're used to. And it says here, if you train your brain to expect a very high level of sweetness, and when you're used to that, it becomes harder to feel satisfied with foods that are less sweet. So when you start thinking about pursuing a healthier lifestyle, and you start thinking about having a different foods, the moment you eat something that is not as sweet what you're used to, the first thing that you go is, "Ugh, this is nasty," because your palate and your taste buds literally have to change from the foods that you're used to consuming. So if you're always used to eating a milk chocolate, the first time you eat a super dark chocolate, you're going to notice the distinct difference. But after a while, when you start slowly weaning off of super sweet foods and replacing it with other stuff, those things that you used to eat, you can no longer tolerate. There are certain foods that I cannot eat anymore because they are super sweet. Circling back to Kool-Aid. I can't drink everybody's Kool-Aid because that's going to put me in an early grave. There are certain restaurants that sell chicken based out of New Orleans that have a cane sweet tea that the last time I had some of it, I thought the angels were circling because it was beyond sweet on my palate. So now, because I've always had sweet tea half and half, I can't take a full glass of sweet tea. My sister won't allow it. My palate gets thrown off. So those are things that when you start looking at your wellness journey, expect your palate to change. Because when you're starting to embark on something, things are going to have to change. So when you're starting to notice things in your journey that the foods aren't as sweet anymore, or I should say, if you're in a point where everything is not sweet enough and you need to add more to make it sweet, that usually is a sign that you are addicted to sugar, that you have consumed a lot of sugar, is that you may notice that you're breaking out a lot. You have acne. You may start seeing early signs of wrinkles. because wrinkles may be another sign that you're consuming too much sugar. And also something I realized I did in my research is that when you start consuming a lot of sugar, you may start seeing that little breakout around here because you're consuming too much sugar. Your body is telling you this is too much. Something else you may notice, joint pain. Consuming too much sugar can lead to inflammation, which may lead to joint pain. So it's more than just saying you need to stop eating sugar. You need to look at what's it doing for your body. And lastly, one thing you may see is sleep issues. Why? Because you have a lot of sugar in your system. And when your system is, for someone who is chronically consuming excessive amounts of sugar, it can absolutely mess up your sleep cycle. So as you see, the consumption of sugar often goes beyond just the immediate, you're going to gain weight issue. You're going to have cavities. You can now see it can impact your sleep. It can impact your skin. It can impact your joints. Now we're looking at high blood pressure. We're also looking at fatigue, energy, and irritability. So when you're looking at the consumption of sugar in its totality, you can see that it's not just a number on a scale that's impacting you. You can see that it is impacting your body as well. Now, I will tell you that when you start weaning yourself off of sugar and you're starting to detox yourself from sugar, it's going to feel like you have a cold. Because when I did it, I thought I had a summer cold. And I had to ask myself, what have I done this week? Who did I come in contact with this week to feel this way? And what it came out to be was that my body was detoxing from sugar. Because I've told y'all, I've had a love affair with a very special thing called hot tamales. I don't know. Don't judge me. You all are judging me. I feel your little judgmental eyes on me. You know that big box from Walmart that cost $1? I would run through a box of those, that movie size box. I would run through a box of those in 2 days. So every few days I was in Walmart buying hot tamales, and I would sit at my desk and I would throw those bad boys back like sunflower seeds. I'd be like, yeah. And I didn't realize how bad I was hooked on the sugar until I stopped buying them. And when I finally gave them up, I can't eat them anymore because they're too sweet. Because I think I was hooked more on the cinnamon than the sugar. Because if you've had a hot tamale, it has that little pop of cinnamon in it. So I think I was hooked more on the cinnamon aspect than the sugar. Thank you. I appreciate that, Bestie. Thank you for not judging me. I have plenty of stuff you can judge me on, but not this one. So when I made the decision to let go of the hot tamales, I also made the decision that I don't eat a lot of sweets. I don't eat a lot of sweets. I don't eat a lot of ice cream. I don't eat a lot of cake. My downside that I have to be careful of is bread. So when you start getting into your wellness journey, you will start identifying your triggers. You will start finding out what are your weak points where you could have cake on the table all day. I'm unfazed. You can have donuts, unfazed. You can have ice cream, unfazed. All the other trappings and candy, literally, truly unfazed. But bring in some rolls from Texas Roadhouse. Then we're going to have a conversation. Bring in some homemade sourdough bread. Then we're going to be in the room together. So once you start identifying your triggers, it makes it easier for you to figure out how you need to adjust. So if you are in a space where you're battling with sugar, you are in good company, because it is suggested that millions of Americans are also struggling with sugar. But that is because the increase of portions that are served at restaurants. Nothing is no longer the regular size that we are used to, where we went from having a serving of a beverage that's 8 ounces to now everything is mega, everything is jumbo. So I've never had Rocky Road ice cream. Haven't. So when we're looking at things where we've gone from regular portions to massive portions, it is difficult to estimate sometimes what you're going to really eat. So I will suggest that if you are in a space where you want sweets or if you want ice cream, see, you just judged me. You just said 2 sentences ago, Donna, that you weren't judging me. And then you just see, you see how they do me? I see. And so if you have a craving for ice cream, get the small, get the child size. There's no reason for you to get the mega size because the goal is just to have enough to satisfy the sweet tooth. So when you're wanting to have something for a sweet tooth, just get the small size. I'm not telling you not to treat yourself. I'm telling you to develop a healthy approach and a healthy strategy to maintain your weight, to stave off the sugar addiction. Because you can, I won't say you can have it all, but you have to become more wise in the decisions that you're making. And that's my dog Zoe in the back doing I don't know what. Just we love her anyway. So when we talk about sugar addiction, just to end it for today, on average, we consume 17 spoons of sugar a day. 17. Which is the equivalent of an extra 300 calories a day. And that extra 300 calories can be found in a large sweet tea from certain establishments. That can be found in candy bars. That can be found in your favorite chocolate chip cookies, whatever the serving size is. So when you're having to make the decisions of what your snack is going to be, I would say save that for once a week as your treat me meal. As you have shared before, my treat meal is on Fridays. Excuse me. And on Friday, I treated myself to a small little thing from Starbucks. It was good. I enjoyed it. But when they showed the big size was like 700, 600 calories. But the small was 3. So I gave myself permission to enjoy a small snack because it's about truly enjoying the products of your fruits of your labor. So I'll never tell you to do a restrictive diet. I will never tell you to go to the extremes. You don't have to be extreme. You only have to be consistent. So that's all I have. We won't be having a fitness segment next week because I will be out of town on travel. However, we will be back the following week with an entrepreneur spotlight featuring Trent and Madison Bennett. Many of you in the Huntsville area know them from Merck Fitness, as well as a new venture that they have embarked on with weapon and gun safety. And I am so excited to talk to them to find out how the emergence. Oh, thank you, Tiara. And I'm fascinated to discuss with the Bennetts how the emergence of weapon safety and the information has grown within the African American community in the last year. He has provided some great statistics, and I look forward to chatting with the Bennetts to discuss not just their new venture, but also the benefits of boxing and their establishment, Merck Fitness. So we will see you the 1st of August. While I'm out on the road, stay tuned, follow my stories because I'm hitting the road and going to Houston, Texas. This is going to be interesting. Y'all tell me what's good in Houston because I haven't been in a few years. Please, if you know of some good restaurants, send them to me and we'll hit them. So thank you all. Have a wonderful week and I'll see y'all later.